balance those things.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are at 9 a.m. and we've got 17 folks with us this morning. So I'll go ahead with my housekeeping spiel. That should give us a couple of minutes for anyone else to join us that wants to participate with us today. So first, good morning, and everybody, welcome to our first live session for Dig Deep, a conference for growers. My name is Becca Knudsen. You'll be seeing a lot of me the next couple of days. I'm a program coordinator here at Tarrant Area Food Bank, and I also serve as the vice chair for the Tarrant County Food Policy Council. That's the website where our conference is hosted this weekend. I hope you all were able to find us okay this morning and have gotten situated for a nice day of virtual learning. This session here will last approximately 1 hour. It may go a little shorter, may go a little longer, depending on the amount of discussion we have, but we'll try to keep us right on time. But before we jump into the content of our live session, I want to cover a little housekeeping. So if you haven't used Zoom before, you might want to poke around a little bit and test the different settings. Today we're using Zoom Webinar, which is a little bit different than Zoom Meeting, which most people are familiar with. So instead of seeing everyone's faces, you'll just see me and Amanda here today and any screens that we share. So you don't have to worry about looking good on camera or muting yourself today. And while we get settled in, go ahead and familiarize yourself with the chat box as well. You should be able to open that up either in a separate box or on the side of your screen. If you have any questions today, you can chat those into the chat box, and Amanda and I will be paying attention to those and answering those as they come up. When you do chat into the box, there's a setting you can choose so that it goes to all panelists and attendees. Make sure you choose that so everyone can see what is being talked about. So while we're getting settled in, go ahead and let us know your name and where you're joining us from. Amanda and I are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas, but I know that we have people joining us from all over, so be interested to see where you're joining us from. So go ahead and test that chat box and tell us where you're joining us from. So like I mentioned throughout the presentation, you can also ask questions in that chat box. I will be monitoring that and popping in to relay those to Amanda as well. I see we've got some folks joining us from Keller and Southlake, Glen Heights, Fort Worth. I see Vicky's here. She's one of our presenters tomorrow. Wonderful. Y'all keep filing those in. Oh, my mom's friend from Peoria, Illinois is here, so that's exciting. Okay. And like Amanda mentioned just a few minutes ago, if you want to watch this session again or you want somebody else to see it, it will be recorded and posted with the rest of the pre-recorded video content for the conference, and that'll go out tomorrow morning. Okay, so a little bit about Dig Deep, since this is the first session of the day. Dig Deep, a conference for growers, has been happening for 6 years. Each year, Tarrant Area Food Bank holds the conference in collaboration with other organizations. In the past, Tarrant County Food Policy Council, UNT Health Science Center, Keep Grand Prairie Beautiful, Grow North Texas Food Bank, and the Texas Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association have all played a role in making this conference possible. This year, we are hosted virtually on the Tarrant County Food Policy Council's website with contributions from over 20 presenters and virtual vendors, all in the spirit of bringing people together over growing food. So we're very excited to have all of this wonderful content for you. I want to take a moment to thank our presenters. Not only do we have 4 live sessions planned for today, but we also have a wonderful list of pre-recorded video sessions for you to enjoy at your leisure tomorrow. So there's no schedule on those. You can pick them and watch them when you want. A huge shout out to all the presenters who learned new skills like video editing, converting, and uploading just to make this conference possible. Without them, we would not be here today. I also want to thank Dave Aptadillion and the Food Policy Council's Community Garden and Urban Agriculture Working Group. They provided the recommended reading lists and recipes that you'll see tomorrow. And finally, thank you to everyone who tested links and reviewed websites and edited documents for me as we put this whole thing up. Hopefully there are very few typos or mistakes on the website, but I'm happy to fix them if you come across one. All right, I hope you all enjoy the fabulous content we have for you for this virtual event. Now on to our live session. Today's live session will discuss the local growing scene. The Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is teeming with gardens, farms, and nonprofits working to get fresh local produce into the hands of anyone who wants it. Amanda Vanhoozier of Slow Food DFW will help us learn more about the importance of the local growing scene and what Slow Food DFW brings to the table. Amanda Vanhoozier serves as the chair of Slow Food DFW, a global movement for good, clean, and fair food for all. Recently, Slow Food USA has passed national resilience funds to Slow Food DFW recommended organizations for their relief work during COVID-19. As a small business owner with over 30 years of industry experience, Amanda has spent her career advocating for local food and agriculture by building community around a vibrant, sustainable food system. Amanda, welcome.
Hello. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We are so glad to have you. Amanda, could you start by telling us a little bit of the history of Slow Food?
Sure, yeah. So Slow Food is a global movement. And so what it represents is a common bond between food and the right to food. Food is important, and it actually started in Rome over 30 years ago when fast food, processed food was coming into Italy and farmers took up their pitchforks. I remember this, and it was like that visual of that. And they put a long table on the steps in Rome and said they were protesting by having a meal together. So it was like, bring on the pasta, let's sit here and eat and drink for 3 days and protest the McDonald's coming in. It didn't keep McDonald's from coming in, but it created the slow food movement. And the manifesto was signed and it was formed. Now there is over 100,000 chapters all over the globe. And so it's a global movement, food movement on good, clean, and fair food, but it's also got a national office, Slow Food USA, out of New York, and that's very vibrant, alive. They do a once-a-year event in Denver called Slow Food Nations. I went last year. This year, of course, it's not happening, but Slow Food actually has a worldwide event every year at Terra Madre is the name of it in Turin, Italy. And this year it's so exciting because not everybody can go to Italy. So this year it is going to kick off in October and it will run for 6 months of online presentations, surveys, bringing communities together. So we're excited about that because 6 months is better than a 3-day event. And I think that's what we are seeing is all this online is making it accessible to more people. So Slow Food DFW is a chapter of all of that. And so we feel like with the global movement and we also meet with leaders, chapter leaders all over the United States, that we're bringing to Dallas-Fort Worth what's happening outside, but also focusing on what's going on in Dallas-Fort Worth. Our chapter was started in 2017. Dallas used to have a slow food chapter for about 10 years, and it was dissolved. And the question was, do we really need slow food, or are we there already? Well, we are not there already, and so that was part of getting Slow Food chapter back to the Dallas-Fort Worth and North Texas.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I guess I have a question. For the conference or the event that they're having in Italy, the 6-month event, is that something that anyone can attend, or do you have to be a member of Slow Food in some way?
No, you can attend. If you go to slowfood.org, you can get to the website. If you're a member, you received an email this week about everything that's going to happen. So it's very exciting to think that it's accessible to all. It's free. So there will be people in Africa, in Switzerland, you know, it just in China, it will be, and so you'll be able to join in with voices, and it's creating a big network. And their main focus is on biodiversity, from the microbiology all the way to communities and networking. So it's based on, you know, food, people, environment, planet, and then the future. And it will talk a lot about climate change and agricultural practices.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Wonderful.
I hope everybody can join.
Yeah, at least for part of it. I mean, you would think over a 6-month period of time, we'd be able to go to one or more events, I would say. So can you tell us a little bit about the priorities of Slow Food? Like what's the focus? It seems like a pretty broad area.
Oh, it is broad. So when you read that about good, clean, and fair food, so let's break that down a little bit. Good food is good for you, but also good for your community and culturally appropriate. So there's a lot in Slow Food that talks about, you know, indigenous foods, foods that are grown in a certain area. So you're eating local and seasonal food, but also nutrition pieces of that. And then clean is how is agriculture and the environment related, and how can we move towards having a more sustainable production of food, and you know, from distribution to serving all the way farm to fork. And so that's focusing a lot on the environment for clean, and then also fair is a huge piece of Slow Food. And fair is fair food for all. And I think, you know, you focus on that a lot, and this conference does, because it's really important to have food justice in what we're doing, and also like fair wages for farms, for restaurant workers. You know, there's a whole line of work that needs to be done, and so that's a big part of Slow Food. So those are the tenets. And then for Dallas-Fort Worth, our priorities have changed because of COVID. We had a lot of events planned, and they were events around food. So we had a North Texas wine tour to tour vineyards, focusing more on, you know, those who are actually raising grapes in North Texas, not just wineries, but also the agricultural piece of it. And then we were also, you know, doing a mozzarella cheese and wine pairing, you know, a lot of those kind of events. And we had potlucks. So we were doing a lot of gatherings, and we were always bringing farms into those because we feel like agriculture is a big piece of it. But I think with the change with COVID, no gathering. So we actually switched gears real quick, and that came from USA presenting the National Resilient Funds to help communities during COVID. So we were asked to choose some organizations that we felt that were making a difference. And so there were funds that came from Whole Foods into Dallas, and they went to Oak Cliff Veggie Project with Ples Montgomery. I don't know if you've heard about that. It's an Oak Cliff, and Heard That Foundation was another organization that was feeding restaurant workers staff meals. And then Grow North Texas, which you're familiar with, and Good Local Market with their trying to keep their market going during COVID. And then Farmers Assisting Returning Military, called Farm. And so they have a location, education, training, and farm. So those, when we did that, we were like, more people need to know about Slow Food, and those snail blazers is what we call them, the leaders. So we also started a weekly online series of what we call, it's lunch break because it's Tuesday noon, but we bring in different leaders in the local food movement, If you know Charlie Blaylock, he was on with Susie Marshall with the WIC. So there was that going on, but we also felt like there needs to be, you hear it, you meet these people, how can you get involved? So we've really started thinking about how to connect people immediately, because there seems to be a lot more people willing to want to learn more about local food and how it's produced, and I think COVID brought us that. And then our other priority is 3 years ago that there was a lot of work on equity, inclusion, and justice. And so there's actually a manifesto that came from the leaders in USA. So we really brought that back out after Black Lives Matter got real again, and really we're really focused on that and making sure that it's woven in through all that we're doing. So internally, we're Slow Food Board has taken several courses online, and then we're having a discussion group among our board every week, and that's been really good, and it's equity and food justice. So, we're just learning and listening and finding out how we can be better in our community. So those are our priorities right now.
Wonderful. And I'm glad you mentioned the Slow Food lunch break episodes that you've been doing. We have a couple of those posted for the content that will be available tomorrow. So y'all can check those out. And then those go live on your Facebook page, right?
Yes, so Facebook, Slow Food DFW is our Facebook handle, and Instagram. They're also stored in our Instagram TV. So we pretty much take issues and we bring issues to the forefront and try to combine people. So like one of the like for farm is going to be on your recordings. So the farmers assisting returning military, not just talking to farm, but talking to a veteran that has been through the program. So GP Farm also was on, so we have a conversation going, and it's all about conversation, but it's also about actionable steps you can take. So you've heard these people, so it's not just like, you're disconnected. We want to make sure that people get involved and get excited and want to join in, because we're creating a movement. It's got to have some steps that are concrete that you can get going right away. So I think that's what's really neat. We're doing Women Farmers this coming Tuesday. And so we have Carolyn Fruth from Fruth Farms. She has livestock. And then Kim High is the farm manager at Paul Quinn College. And she's pretty much single-handedly working that farm this summer. And then Amanda Austin is she had a farm. She grew a lot for Greenland. She grew flowers, and then she had kids. And so women in farming have there's pieces to that is not always equal for other farmers. So we wanted to highlight them and talk about how they're running their farms. So that's going to be really good. Following that, we're going to do something on food waste with Turn, compost, and Texas Worm Ranch. So if you want to know about compost and working through, breaking down organics, that would be a great one to attend. So you can tell that we've put a lot of thought into these. We had Reverend Peter Johnson and Richard Brouchard last week, but we were not able to connect because they didn't have the right technology. So we are going to just record them, and Susie Marshall's going to help us with that. And then we'll put that back out. So if anyone listened last Tuesday, they were like, what's going on? Well, that is a pure example of inequities in being able to have internet, computer, electricity, you know, so I think we'll be talking more with them.
Wonderful. I've really enjoyed the sessions that I've watched, and I hope that more people will join as well. It's definitely great conversations and inspiring to learn about the different projects and organizations that are working in our area.
And I might say, which I didn't really say, is we have a host, Seth Brammer. Seth is in the hospitality industry, but he also has the technology, but he has a really good understanding of slow food. So he's hosting those, and he does a great job being the narrator and mediator for those mediator or moderator? Yeah, a moderator. He's mediating too, I guess. Yes. But yay, Seth. We're so happy to have him aboard. I'm not connecting with you.
Bear with us, folks. Are we there again?
I'm here.
Did you freeze? You froze on my end. So either way, we'll figure it out. I think we're back. Okay, so here's our question. We had someone who was involved with Slow Food Dallas when they were around. And they're wondering, you know, it was a little tough getting to all the meetings with them being in Dallas. Do you have events and meetings all over DFW when we're back to having meetings? Or, you know, are there more ways that folks from all over DFW can participate?
So we really need more people in Fort Worth to be a part of Slow Food. Our board meetings last summer went to the Zoom meeting because we realized it's too hard for everybody to drive everywhere. And we have some farms that are out, farmers that are out that are on the board. And so we went to Zoom meetings. So anyone who wants to be part of the board can, I put our email on this last slide, participate. But we need more action in Fort Worth, and I'm glad to be partnering up with the Tarrant County Food Policy Council. And Charlie Blaylock is probably our main contact, but we need more so we can have potlucks. We don't always have to have it for everybody, but we want to have different people get involved in starting their own projects too. So yes, you can get involved, and now everything's online. So definitely sign up for Slow Food on September 15th. We're actually having a join Slow Food with Pay What You Can. And so the membership is whatever you can pay, September 15th. And that is through USA. We don't have paid membership in Dallas. So yeah, there's the email website. So when you sign up, then you will also get on our newsletter. And we also have on the website a way to subscribe to the newsletter, which comes out right now. We're doing it twice a week because of lunch break. So that's how you find out what's going on.
Okay, wonderful. I'll pull this slide up again at the end. But just since we were talking about it, y'all can see that there. But yeah, I think we're in a great position today to get some more people from Fort Worth to join. And we've got a lot of Fort Worth people here. So y'all sign on and tell them what you're doing. We've got another question. Let's see. Oh, this is someone from the Fairmount Community Garden here in Fort Worth. And she said if there's materials that y'all have to email out that are like a distribution list, they're happy to share that with their gardeners as well. So if she gets on your mailing list, then she also send that out to her folks?
That's right. Yeah, there's a forward button on the email that will come. And I'm excited about that. And I'm just going to go into what our future plans are because this kind of clicks in. What we see Slow Food DFW being is like a connector hub where we're connecting, and we'll focus a lot on urban ag or agriculture. Like where do you find the farmers? Where do you find the food? Where can I volunteer at a community garden? You know, what project is doing food distribution? And so what we actually envision that to be is to also grow leaders within the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we'll also have training on how to start a community garden, how do you work with a board. So there's, you know, what the future plans is to be like a depository of all good, good, clean, fair foods happenings. And also it's like where you can go to find everything. So we would have, if you're going to do a build at your garden or you're moving mulch, you can put it on there and then somebody can log on and volunteer to come and help. So we realize that it's a large area, North Texas, and the best is to have a really good structure online to connect, but also have a lot of events that come out of that when we're ready to do that. But we wanted, the shift actually is happening from being more about eating, drinking events to really solid, good work and, you know, with food and its importance.
Wonderful. There's another question. Is there a place currently to find volunteer opportunities for food, gardens, or farms?
Currently, we do not have that on our website, but any of the, like you guys, you have that information. Grow North Texas has information. I get a lot of emails through Slow Food, and I just do a lot of connection on my, you know, just as because I'm getting the Slow Food email to let you know what's going on. If you follow our Facebook page, or if you have a garden and you want volunteers, we can connect that and then put it out too. So we do that for Oak Cliff Veggie Project. Rise Up and Reach Out is putting in 100 gardens at 100 churches. So, you know, any of their work days are put on there.
Awesome.
So following Facebook is probably the best way right now.
Yeah, and working in this field for several years, I know how hard it is to connect and find information about all the different projects going on. I'm learning about new ones every day. If you are participating in the rest of the Dig Deep conference, it will be on the Tarrant County Food Policy Council's website, and we do have a local food map listed there. So there's community gardens, farms, school gardens, farmers markets listed there, so you could find one in your area. And if you find one that is not listed that you know is active, please email us. There's a contact button on that page because we can't grab them all. But if you help us fill that page, that will help better connect people as well. And I know, like you mentioned, Grow North Texas has a lot of great resources on the Dallas side. And so I think with, you know, amongst the three organizations, you know, we've got several people covered there. All right. So moving on with our discussion here, can you tell us a little bit more about the Snail of Approval program?
Okay, I haven't really mentioned that because it's not out there yet. We worked on this last fall, and a lot of other cities. There's 10 other cities that chapters that do a Snail of Approval, and it is a way to recognize restaurants or establishments that are using good, clean, fair food values. And so we wrote up the values and then had sub-values under all of them, wrote up the criteria, and we had this idea that we were going to roll it out in March. And so, and then do the summer of the Slow Food Summer, the Summer of Slow Food, and really kick it off with a big event. And then that just screeched to a halt. But what was good about that is now we are taking those same values and we're reworking them and really including a lot more of the equity and inclusion and justice piece within, weaving that in. And then we're also looking at, instead of it can be a recognition or an award, but it also can be a path to making your restaurant or your establishment more resilient into the future, because it's so uncertain but we know with sustainable practices and the values that Slow Food has, this is a way back into the future. And it's not always the bottom line is money, but the bottom line is more people, planet, and then the economy. So that is getting ready to come out. That we have a new food hall that's very interested in slow food values for snail of approval. And so they're ready to open, and they want to be one of the first in the Dallas area. But, you know, as we start looking at it, we're like, why couldn't an organization have that? And you know, a local store that is, you know, a local food store or a farmer's market or a farm. So we've expanded that into everyone who's in the local food scene, I guess is what we're calling it today.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea to give some people some guidance as well. You know, like, what does slow food mean? How can I make a big impact by making some small changes, or, you know, just process changes to the way things are run? I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of a path to the future if you kind of follow those values. And a lot of people are much more willing right now to be looking and searching for that. So we feel like this is going to be great. We have a partnership with an ad agency, Johnson & Seacon, and they're working with us on our new website, and then also branding, but you know, just kind of getting us set up, especially for the snail of approval. So you'll see all that roll out, but all of it takes time, and it's a process. But anything good should take time and be a process, just like food.
Yeah, and luckily we've got a little bit of time, right?
I know.
Now to kind of do some of that back end stuff. Yes. All right. Well, are there any other questions from our audience today? We have a nice full house here. We've got 36 people joining us. Or Amanda, if you've got anything else to add to our discussion.
No, I think we've covered a lot of what we wanted to talk about, but I would really encourage everyone to go ahead and sign up if you haven't signed up, and try to watch as many of the presentations as possible. I know it's broken into categories, but I think it's real important to get into other categories so you understand the bigger picture. You know, a composter that's just focusing in on compost needs to have a bigger picture of where that compost goes, where, you know, where it's been, where it's going. So I think all of us need to expand out what our interests are. And right now is a good time to do that, because there's a lot more resources in Dallas-Fort Worth that are available to us. So I'd be happy to help anyone. So reach out to Slow Food, and we'll get you connected.
Awesome. I'll pull that contact slide back up here in a second. We did have a comment from Michael Higgins with the NCRS. Oh man, I always forget what NCRS stands for, but he has offered the Natural Resource Conservation Service. He put it right there for me. He did comment in the chat box about some resources that they offer here in North Texas. So I will follow up with everyone who attended here and send out that information, as well as Amanda's contact information for Slow Food, in case you missed it. But let me pull that slide up here again one last time while we see if there is anything else that anyone wants to comment during this session. There's that for you. All right, well, let me see if I can get out of my screen here. We do have a comment, so let me pull it up. Got a couple thank yous for you, Amanda. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. And let me pull up my notes here again. All right, well, thank y'all for joining us for this live chat with Amanda Vanhoozier of Slow Food DFW. Again, a recording of this session will be available with the rest of tomorrow's pre-recorded video sessions. We've got 3 more live sessions today. I hope to see you there, or at tomorrow's breakout sessions or virtual lunch. So thank you again, Amanda. Thank you for everyone for joining us today, and y'all stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.